Hey guys, my name is Hannah and I would say, let's have some fun today. So, someone on YouTube asked me if I could only have 5 palettes in my collection, which would they be, which would be the top of the tops, and I could never do that, guys. I could never just sort out 5 palettes and that's it. At least it has to be 10 palettes, okay? At least it had to be 10. So I pulled out a good old video, I think it's a video you all know by now, and I pulled out the 10 palettes I would keep in my collection. Until my last video about my favorite 10s, there passed some time, there got more palettes in my collection, and if everything would vanished and just 10 would be there, which of those 10 I would choose for myself. It was hard. I played a little bit around in my head, like color story, like variety, warm tones, cool tones, so that I have really a variety of palettes and that I have everything I need, so... But to be completely honest, I never could just have 10 palettes, I think. Therefore, I just love palettes and colors and textures way too much to just stick to 10 palettes. It's very much, it's very much. But for me, it's not enough. Really not enough. So, but if I really had to choose, if I really had to sort out in my head, hey, what would make the most sense if I just have 10 palettes, they would be that, for now. So without further ado, and if it sounds good and interesting to you, stay tuned and let's get into the video. So the first two are from Pat. Of course they are. My first one would be the Midnight Sun palette from Pat. Just because I pulled out so many cool tone palettes, guys. So many. And I just needed a little bit of warmth in my collection. So I thought this is the perfect palette. Oops. I also love this very, very glittery shade. It's really like the moon on your eyelid. It's so reflective and I think this palette is so stunning. I can create so many beautiful looks. I even can go cool toned if I want to with those colors right here and this lilac-y shade. So I have a little bit of variety with this palette right here, and so I decided to pull this one out as my first palette that I really want to keep in my collection, and I love it. I don't use it enough because I have so many palettes, but I think if this would be my only one with that kind of color scheme, I would go so much more in there. So I think this would be my first choice out of the 10 that I would like to keep. Next one, again, a mothership. Of course, it's my Moonlit Seduction palette right here. It's just beautiful and it's the complete opposite of the other one that I showed you. It's very cool toned, very beautiful, and I have so beautiful memories with this one because this one got me so excited. So excited, guys. I really wanted it and I love my eye look every time I'm using it. It's so cool toned, but you have some warm berries in there as well for a little bit of variety. So I'm really appreciative of that. And I love the glittery shades right here. It's also a little bit more on the crumblier, sparklier side, but on the eyes, it's just beautiful. So this is the other one that I really needed to keep. And of course I needed to keep some motherships because, to be honest, I would really like to keep all my motherships. And thankfully I'm doing that. But if I really had to choose two, I think those would be the two I would choose just because of my brain that's telling me that it's very logical, and this one I just really like, and the other one is not my first choice out of my motherships, but I really love this one and I think it would make sense to keep those two, just for the purpose that I have the feeling I have variety in the realm of my motherships. So yeah, really like this choice that I made here for myself. Okay, I right away wanna throw out the doubles that I have, and I also have 2 Natasha Denona palettes that I want to keep. So the third one is my Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette that I'm wearing today on my eyes. I went a little bit more neutral today because I felt like it, so I love the eye look and I love this palette. It was a neutral palette in a long while that really spoke to my soul, that really spoke to my heart, and I love this one. The colors I'm wearing today, I did not very much. I just put filigree all over the lid and on my lower lash line, fair to blend everything a little bit out on my brow bone area, and I also put fair into the inner corners and on my lower lash line and on the front portion of my lid area. I did go in with sheen. Really love how sheeny it is. The name is very fitting. And I also put a little bit of tender down my lower lash line just to blend everything out a little bit better. And I also put sheen just very, very lightly into my inner corner just to give me a little bit of something that's a little bit more reflective and wet looking. I think this is everything I did. Oh, maybe I did also go in with a little bit of mesh onto my lower lash line. I think this is a color I used too. But all in all, this were really the colors I used. It wasn't much, very quick, very easy, and I love the eye look. I think this speaks for itself, my eye look today. It's so easy, so quick. There are so beautiful colors in here. They are very neutral, not too cool leaning, not too warm leaning. If I had to decide, maybe there are a little bit more on the cooler side, but all in all, they're really neutral type of shades. I think this is very stunning. Love this palette. If I really want something quick and easy, not to think too much about it, this is the palette I would choose. And I also love the sparkles, the sheeny shades, the variety of textures you also get in here. So I'm very happy with this palette, and it is still one of my favorites from Natasha Denona. And I really love it. So it needed to be in my 10 palettes that I wanna keep, for myself, for sure. Okay, the next one from Natasha Denona is my Xenon palette. Because I just thought I need something black, I need something smoky, and this is the palette that's giving me all of that. And I don't need another one that's in that direction. So I love this palette, guys. If I want something really dark, really black, sexy, smoky, but also you can create some very light looks with this one. I love it. I think it's fitting right into my decoration of palettes that I want to have, the colors that I want to have. If I just had 10 palettes, I really need something dark and black, because there's always a time and a place for something like that you need something like that, and I think it's also very beautiful. I love this palette. I love this palette also for every day, to be honest, because those tones are very stunning and beautiful on the eyes, and Natasha Denona just delivered with this one, I think this is a very underrated palette and I love it so much. Okay, I have to be honest, I was between this one and the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, but I chose the Rust palette from Melt Cosmetics. It's a very old palette in my collection. I don't use it that often anymore, to be completely honest, but it's giving me just those very warm brown tones that I need. The Yucca palette also had that, but side by side, I think those are a little bit more on the warmer and neutral leaning side, but with a little twist. And the Yucca palette is more on the green side, but also very stunning. Just want that I was really struggling between those two, and I still don't know if I really would keep this one. Maybe if it really would be the case, I would still use something else, but for now I have the feeling this is the one I would also keep, because just of the warm tones that you always need, if it's fall time, if you want to have it quick and a little bit more neutral. And you can go very neutral, but you can also go very bold with Melt palettes. That's also something I really like. So I like this one. I really loved it. I used it so much when I got it. I think you can see that. And I also often got compliments with this one. So I think this would be also a very nice warm palette to have in the collection of 10 palettes. A totally opposite realm that we also need to discuss is colorful shades. We of course sometimes have the feeling that we need something very colorful on our eyes. We are feeling playful and we want to just splatter colors on our face. I think everyone has this once in a while, and therefore I decided to keep my Cosmic Beauty palette in Delicious Delights. I really wanted to keep my blue one because I love blues, but ultimately I thought I don't have that variety that I will get with this one, because you need at least, I think, one palette that's a little bit more on the rainbow side in your collection, so that you really don't feel the the edge to have something like that, you know? You need something colorful. You maybe don't use it every day, you don't use it that often, but if you have the cravings, you know you have the palette, you know, in your 10 palettes that you are keeping. So this was my thought behind that, and I like that I have blues, I have rosy shades and lilac-y shades, I have yellow, I have greens. So if I really want to play with color, there I have everything I need, and I think this was my thought process behind this one. And I really love the quality. I think the mattes from Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty are so delightful, so beautiful. They are holding the whole day on the eyes. So yeah, this was the reason behind this palette, that I really wanted to keep it so that I have a little bit of color in my life, you know. The next one is a brand I love and admire so freaking much. So I needed to have at least one palette from her, and it's Isamaya Beauty. And ultimately I decide to keep the Industrial Color 2.0 palette, because with this palette I had the most fun, I have the feeling. There are so many beautiful glittery shades that I want to play with, that are so nice looking, so beautiful, reflective and wet looking. And with this palette right here I had the most fun, I have the feeling. From all the palettes I have from her, I think this is the one I would keep, because ooh, those shades on the eyelids, they are so wet, beautiful looking shades. Especially in the summertime when the light is hitting you, you know, it's really stunning and reflective. So it's a palette I needed to keep for sure. For sure, at least one Isamaya palette I need to have in my collection. Okay, we are very quick, guys. There are just 3 palettes left. And the next one is a smaller palette I choose because I need something when I'm traveling, when I want it quick and easy and simple, and also something that's giving me this beautiful model out of duty look, you know. So this was the palette I chose for that. It's the Lancome X Louvre palette. It's just stunning. I still love this palette. There are always some people that ask me again and again if I still would recommend it. And yes, I would still recommend this palette. I think this is very beautiful. Love to use it for one and done, for quick, easy looks. But you also can play with the stunning green right here. It's just a beautiful palette. You also have a highlighter in here for, you can of course also use on the eyes, but also on the face. And you know, it's just a stunning curated palette. And this is also a palette I would take traveling if I have the feeling, you know, I don't feel too much color, I just want it quick and easy, but if I want a little bit of something special, I have this green, so I would pull out this palette and take it with me. And yeah, I think this is also a stunning palette I would definitely keep in my top 10s. Okay, another one I can't lose, I can't lost, whatever. I really need this one because it's so beautiful. It was my first Byredo palette, and it is still my first Byredo palette that I ever have or had. It's the Mineralscapes palette. Of course, this needed to be in the 10 palettes I will keep. I have also so many Tom Ford palettes, guys, you know, so many Dior palettes. I love them. I would never give them away, but if it really comes down to it and I just know I have to keep 10, I think I would keep a little bit of bigger palettes that I have a little bit more variety and know I can, you know, have my fun anyways. And this is a palette that's definitely giving me that. I have blues, I have beautiful greens. Those are the types of greens that I love on myself. And I have neutral shades, I have cool tones, I have warm tones. It's just a stunning palette. This is a palette I definitely need to keep, to be honest. I don't have the feeling I will ever give this palette away. I love how it looks. It's so stunning on the eyes. You can make it bold, you can make it soft, you can make it everything you want. You can play with colors, you can keep it very neutral. I love the variety in here, and it's also a very sophisticated type of palette, you know? We all love this word. Sophisticated, and this is what it is, and I really love it. I don't regret it just a little bit that I bought it, and I needed this one, and I still need it, and it of course needs to be in the 10 palettes I will keep because it's giving me so much joy and it's so beautiful on the eyes. Okay, last but not least, a palette I keep for my inner sparkly self that I have. You know, I need sparkles in my life. We have it a little bit with McGrath, we have it with Isamaya, but when it comes down to it, I really need something that's giving me wham bam, you know, wham bam in your face. And therefore I decided to keep the Danessa Myricks Lightwork 5 palette. If I want to amp up any look, I can pull this beauty out, put it on my eyes and be a shiny party ball, you know, or something like that. I really love this one. I think this really need to be in my 10 palettes that I would keep if I would lost everything in my collection. It's a palette I really would keep because I have so much variety with textures, first of all. I have so much variety with the sparkle shades that I will get in here. I have topper shades, I have shades that are a little bit more opaque, I have metallic shades, they are so beautiful, guys. I love this palette very, very much. And yeah, I would definitely keep it to fill out the sparkle needs in my heart, you know, to fill it out and to have something. I think if I wouldn't have something like that, I really would miss it. Like I said, I have it in the McGrath and something like that, but here I really have it all. I have it all in one, and I also have a little bit more of color, you know, when it comes down to it. So it would be for sure a palette that needed to be kept in my collection. There's no other way around. Okay guys, we are done. It was a little bit of a quicker type of video today. I hope you don't mind, but I really had the feeling I want today a chilled out video, show you some things that I would keep. And this is always fun also for me, so that I can look around my collection, that I think a little bit more about which palettes are really worth keeping, or if I just had 10, you know. There are so many more worth keeping, for sure. But if I had just to pick 10, you really have to think about color, cool, warm tones, what you like, what you don't like, what is very important to you. There are so many people that really look at different things in their palettes, in their eyeshadows, and I think this is always so fun to see that, you know, and to compare a little bit. Sometimes I think I would never keep something like that, or sometimes the person I'm looking at has just my taste and everything she would keep, I think, oh, I would keep this well. So yeah, I think this is always such a fun video to film. I hope you enjoyed it as well, guys. If so, I would be really happy if you give me a thumbs up, that I know that you like this kind of content. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click on the little bell to get notifications here and there when I'm posting something new. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope we will see each other in my next one, and until then, bye guys.